All right, and welcome to the first season, episode 1 of Adventure Trek Preparation, our version of a virtual troop meeting supported by the President Ford Field Service Council and Michigan Crossroads Council. First and foremost, our virtual troop meeting is brought to you by the local council. Let's get started. Could I get Curtis to help us lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. All rise. Start against salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
Thanks, Curtis. Curtis, can you help lead us in the
Don't sit down.
Would you like me to do the oaths too? They're not. Okay. Kiss the rising again. Am I doing this?
Yep.
Scar right hand, sign. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to guide my country, to obey its law, help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Stay there. Got one more.
A scout is
Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, obedient, cheerful, brave, and reverent.
2.
All right, thank you, Curtis. Appreciate you helping us open our troop meeting. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the 10 essentials for when we adventure in the backcountry. And I'd like to start us off with a short little video from the National Park Service. Check it out.
Ask a ranger. 10 essentials.
My name's Kate Kirkendall, and I'm a park ranger for the National Park Service. Ranger Kate, what should I pack when I go hiking? If you're planning an exciting adventure in the National Park System, on public lands, I really encourage you to prepare yourself.
We're not seeing it.
A list of
We're not seeing it on our screen.
Help prepare you for.
Okay, well, we can jump back here just a second. Let me try resharing.
Did you guys see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
I was looking at it.
Try this again.
Ask a ranger. 10
Can everybody see it okay?
essentials.
My name's Kate Kirkendall, and I'm a park ranger for the National Park Service. Ranger Kate, what should I pack when I go hiking? If you're planning an exciting adventure in the National Park System or anywhere on public lands, I would really encourage you to prepare yourself with this handy list of 10 essentials, which can help prepare you for any circumstances that you might come across. Number 1 is navigation, like a map and compass. Number 2, illumination, flashlight or a headlamp. Number 3, sun protection, sunscreen, sunglasses, and a hat. Number 4, nutrition, extra food. Number 5, hydration, extra water. Number 6, insulation, extra clothing. Number 7, fire, like waterproof matches and a fire starter. Number 8, emergency shelter, like a tent or a fire blanket. Number 9, repair kit and tools, like a knife, duct tape, that sort of thing. And number 10, a first aid kit. If you're planning to go for a hike in the wilderness, just remember your 10 essentials. Cool. Thanks, Ranger Kate.
The only way to completely prevent accidents in the backcountry is to never go outside. But that's no way to live. As you've heard from our friendly park ranger, there are 10 items to consider. Let's dive into each of these and hope that we can share some helpful tips for preparing your checklist for any adventure. First is navigation. There are 5 types of navigational tools when traveling in the backcountry. You have a map, a compass, an altimeter watch, GPS device, or personal location beacon, which is typically known as a PLB. Any trip you take should revolve around the understanding and use of these topographical maps. Second most important tool in navigation is knowledge and ability to properly use a compass. These 2 items together provide you with the endless opportunity to travel the world. There are many types of compasses. Some come equipped with sight mirrors or magnifying glasses built in, which can be used for additional resources. But during an emergency, let's watch another short clip. This one's from REI on how to read a topo map. Make sure to take notes. There might be a quiz.
Topographic maps are a little different from your average map. Not only do they show the location of things like roads and trails, but once you get the hang of reading them, they also help you visualize 3-dimensional terrain from a flat piece of paper. Topo maps use 3 main mechanisms to describe the terrain. In this video, we're going to cover how to read the map's contour lines, how to understand scale, and how to read the symbols and colors found in the map's legend. Contour lines are what really make topographic maps something special. These lines connect all the points on the map that share the same elevation. By looking at how the contour lines spread out and come together, you can get a good sense of what the terrain looks like. When the lines are packed close together, that tells you that the elevation is changing a lot in a short distance, so the terrain is quite steep. As the lines spread out, the elevation changes more slowly, so the slope is more mellow. Contour lines can also help you visualize the shape of the terrain. For example, as the lines form smaller and smaller circles, they're probably showing a peak. Spend some time with a map of a familiar area and see if you can pick out terrain features just by looking at the contour lines. Every 5th contour line on a topo map is thicker than the others, and those thick lines are called index lines. At some point along every index line, you'll find the elevation for that line written on the map. The change in elevation from one contour line to the next is always the same on the map. And most maps have either a 40 or 80-foot contour interval. If your map has an 80-foot interval, that means that each contour line is 80 vertical feet away from the next. You can find all the specific details about the contour intervals and index lines for your map in its legend. Scale refers to the relative distance of the map. For instance, this map scale is 1 to 12,000. That means that 1 inch on the map represents 12,000 inches in reality. Another map of the same region is 1 to 50,000 and covers a larger area, but in less detail. The important thing is that the map with a smaller scale will show a smaller area, but with more detail. Understanding the level of detail on your map is handy when planning your route, but it isn't much help if you want to calculate distances efficiently. That's why maps also have a small representative scale near their legend. This scale shows you the relative distance of a mile or a kilometer on your map, and you can use the edge of a compass or even a piece of string to help figure out just how far away that peak is. One of the first things to look for on any new map is the legend. The legend is like the user's guide for your map. It's where the various lines, colors, and symbols are defined. When it comes to the colors on the map, the idea is that the darker the color, the denser the vegetation. As you get closer to the top of a peak, you'll notice that the colors get lighter as the forest thins out. And of course, streams and lakes are represented in blue. Alongside the list of symbols, there are a few other important pieces of information, like details about the contour lines and the date of the map's most recent revision. This is also where you'll find the magnetic declination for the region, which you'll use to set up your compass. When you combine your understanding of contour lines, scale, and your map symbols and colors, you can almost visualize your whole trip before you go. The next step in becoming a backcountry navigator is to learn how to use your compass alongside your map. So click here to check out that video, or click here to find a navigation class near you.
So let's put this in a little context. Here on the screen, you see a topographical map of some of us, a pretty familiar place. Somebody do me a favor, and in the little control, like where all your buttons are and stuff for the meeting, there's a button that says annotate, and it'll pop up a little drawing device, a mouse, an eraser, and so on. Click on the draw item, and let's try and find if someone can draw a circle around a contour line. Cool. Let's see if somebody can find where the scale of this map is. There we go. Now, can anybody, I'm going to unmute everybody. So remember, you're going to be unmuted. Let's talk a little bit and find out a few other questions. How many feet are the height of the contour intervals?
Find this drawing tool. I can't find it.
2 feet. 2.
2 feet. There you go.
I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it either, Henry.
Somebody want to highlight and show where that is?
I can't even find the highlight button.
It's kind of small.
Two.
Shows up right here.
Find the draw feature.
That's 2 feet. Now, if we were to take the scale, which is 1 inch to 4,800 inches, can anybody tell me how many feet on the ground that might be?
Is that Nat?
About 480,000.
What's up, Nat? Can I say hi to him right now?
4,800 feet average.
There's Nat. I don't think Nat hears me.
Can anybody find, I'm going to mute you all again.
No! Nat!
Can anybody find or circle where the legend is on the map? There we go. Where is the declination diagram? Yes, Hayden.
I can't find this tool.
Okay, so in the bottom where it has the microphone and the camera, it might be at the top of your screen or at the bottom of your screen, hidden.
It's only on the bottom.
Okay, it looks like a little marker. You want to click the little marker.
I do not have a little marker.
We do not have a marker either.
Then you want to click on the 3 dots.
Don't have 3 dots either.
No, that's chat. I don't have any 3 dots either. Where would that be?
Nat!
If you are at full screen, you have to go to the top where it says View Options.
View options.
Okay.
Side by side mode or
Annotate.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, I have it. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. You can mute me.
All right. Okay, so we found some pretty cool stuff on the map. Let's watch another short little video on how we take a map like this and apply it to a compass.
A compass is part of the 10 essentials, and most people take one with them into the mountains. But how in the world does it work? Luckily, it isn't too hard to use your compass, and when paired with a good map and a bit of know-how, it becomes a powerful tool for navigation. In this video, we're going to cover the essential parts of the compass, how to set up your compass to account for the declination for your region, how to take a bearing from a map to find an object in the field, and how to take a bearing in the field to find yourself on a map. Alright, it's going to be hard to talk about how to use a compass without first understanding what all the different parts are for. So let's go through that real quick. This is the base plate. It's clear, so you can see the map below it. And there's always at least one straight edge that you'll use later for taking bearings. On the side, there are rulers that you can use along with your map scale to help you calculate distance. On top, you'll find a direction of travel arrow to remind you which direction to point the compass when you're taking a bearing. This big circle is the rotating bezel, which is marked with degrees from 0 clockwise up to 360. Above the bezel is a little marker called the index line, which marks where you'll read your bearings. Inside the bezel, the first thing you'll notice is the magnetized needle, which always points to the magnetic North Pole, not the true North Pole. We'll get into the difference in a minute. There's also a big arrow called the orienting arrow, which you'll use to help you orient the bezel. Alongside the orienting arrow are orienting lines that you'll use to help you line up the compass with north on a map. Finally, some compasses have a handy declination scale, which makes it easier to adjust declination. What's declination, you ask? Well, declination is the angle difference between true north and magnetic north. The needle in your compass will only point to magnetic north, so right now it's pointing to somewhere in northern Canada, not Santa's workshop. If you don't adjust your compass to account for the difference between magnetic north and true north, it can really mess up your navigation. Depending on where you are in the country, the declination will be a certain number of degrees to either the west or the east. You can find the direction and number of degrees in the declination diagram near the legend, along with the date of the map's most recent revision. If your map hasn't been revised for several years, it's worth looking up the current declination online. Different compass brands set declination in different ways, and once you know the declination for your region, you can put that information into your compass. When you do, and the needle lines up inside the orienting arrow, the north marker on the bezel will point to true north. This map of the Lake Tahoe area has a declination of 14 degrees east, and it was updated very recently. So we need to move the orienting arrow 14 degrees to the east. Now that the declination is set, you can start using your compass with your map. First off, a bearing describes a direction in terms of degrees. Bearings are way more precise than just saying go east or west. Instead, you can say to get to the lake, follow a bearing of 79 degrees. One of the most common ways to use a bearing is when you're out hiking and you want to head to a specific point, like a peak or your campsite. If you know where you are on a map, it's a simple process. Start by finding your current location on the map. Let's say we're here. Now set your compass on the map so that the straight side of the base plate lines up with your position. Next, find the point you want to head toward. Let's say it's this peak, and rotate the entire compass until it forms a line between your position and your destination. Make sure the direction of travel arrow is pointing in the direction of the peak. Once the compass is in position, rotate the bezel until the orienting lines are lined up with north and south on the map. You can use the edge of the map to help you get the line's position just right. Remember to make sure that the north marker on the bezel is pointing to north on the map and not south. Okay, once the orienting lines are running north-south, look at the index line to read the bearing you've just captured. Here, it's 188. Congrats! Now you can use the compass to follow the bearing. Hold the compass in front of you with the direction of travel arrow pointing away from you. Now rotate your whole body until the north side of the magnetized needle is inside the orienting arrow. If it helps, you can remember red in the shed. Once you've got red in the shed, you're facing the bearing of 188 and your destination. If you're out hiking and you want to find your location on a map, you can also take a bearing off a landmark near you. Then you can transfer that bearing to your map and figure out where you are. Start by finding a landmark that you can also identify on your map. Hold your compass up with the direction of travel arrow pointing away from you and directly at the landmark. Now keep the compass flat and rotate the bezel until the magnetized needle is inside the orienting arrow, or red is in the shed. Once the needle is in, you've captured the bearing. A compass with a sighting mirror makes it easy to take very accurate bearings. Hold the compass at eye level and point it at the object. Then tilt the mirror until you can see straight down into the bezel. This way you can see the object and the bezel at the same time. Once you've got the bearing, you can transfer it to the map. Lay your compass on the map and line up its edge with a known landmark. Make sure that the direction of travel arrow is pointing in the direction of the landmark. With the edge of the compass lined up against the object, rotate the entire base plate until the orienting lines are running north-south and the north marker on the bezel is pointing to north on the map. Once you've finished, you can draw a line on the map along the edge of your compass. You are somewhere along this line. If you want to find your exact position, you use a process called triangulation. All you have to do is take another bearing, but with a different object that's at least 60 degrees away from the first. Where the two lines intersect is your position. If you take a third bearing, you'll end up with a little triangle, and the smaller the triangle, the more accurate the reading. Compass skills can be daunting at first, but they get way easier with practice. Watch the video a few times to get familiar with the techniques, and then test them out on your favorite trail. And for more practice and a deeper dive into navigation, click here to find a navigation class near you.
Awesome. So again, let's see if we can find some of these items we discussed in the video. Can anybody highlight the base plate? Perfect. How about where is the index line? Perfect. Okay. What about the magnetic needle? All right. Where's the declination scale? Nice. Always remember that red in the shed. That's the perfect way that I always remembered getting red in the shed. Helps you find your way when using a compass. All right, well, let's stop drawing. Thank you, Ed, for pointing that out. That is, yes, that is the red shed. We're going to move on. So let's talk about a little bit more. Now that we know a little bit about the old school, let's dive into some new age resources. So there's GPS devices which allow you to accurately find your location in the world. But keep in mind, These gadgets are heavy and require batteries. An altimeter watch are cool. They're great for those adventures on high altitude or measuring air pressure or elevation. For what we tend to do while backpacking in the wilderness, these are mostly out of reach and not necessary. There are, however, very cool and fun to play with. A personal locator beacon, a PLB, directly communicates with satellites and are capable of pinpointing your location, very similar to a GPS. PLBs, however, also send out messages. These are great for scouts who are traveling on high adventure trips and want the ability to send notice back home that either they're safe or, hey, we're in a situation and we need some help. Sun protection is crucial. I know it sounds silly, but depending on the weather and the situation, the sun can cause serious damage and ruin a trip. It's always good to bring a hat, sunglasses, and most important, sunscreen. Sunscreen is a very effective way to reduce the exposure to the sun and the risk of getting burnt. You want to make sure that on your list is sunscreen with a minimum of 15 SPF. Can someone highlight what SPF stands for? Sun protection factor, that's correct. All right. Does anyone know? Can you highlight on the screen how often we should reapply sunscreen? Wonderful. Lip balm is another item many people forget back home. Chapped lips can really put a damper on your adventure if you forget it back home. The most effective solution to protecting yourself from the sun is sun protective clothing. This is my favorite because it reduces the need to have to reapply sunscreen all day during my adventure. These lightweight clothes do not replace the need to apply sunscreen, but help increase the ability to protect ourselves and our skin. Raise your hand if you've seen clothing in stores or own items that have ultraviolet protection. Cool.
I do.
Excellent. So quite a few of you. You probably got those when you went down to, some of you probably got those when you went down to Florida Sea Base, I would assume.
That is correct.
All right, so let's move on to the next thing. So the next thing is illumination. Have any of you struggled late night in your tent where you lost your flashlight and you really need to find it so you can get outside and visit a latrine or something? If you can't see where you're going, it's going to be tough doing anything. Any type of light source is invaluable to any adventure. Headlamps are often most convenient sources out there. Some people like the hat clips that you put on your hat or the nightstick called Maglite, which are really heavy. My favorite is the Petzl at Actic. Our scout shops carry a Boy Scout branded version of that, which has worked for me every time that I've been out in the wilderness. Since headlamps are most important these days, we wanted to share with you another short clip for how to choose the right one when you're going to look for a new headlamp. There are many things to consider. When deciding on which one you want, and not every headlamp is the same, let's see what REI has to say.
Hey there, I'm Miranda with REI. When you're choosing a headlamp, there are a lot of different features to consider. Lumens might be the most common, but you should look at other things such as the beam type and the beam distance, just to name a few. Let's talk about how to choose headlamps. So the most prominent number that you'll see when you are choosing a headlamp is probably going to be the lumens. So lumens gives you a general idea of how bright the headlamp is in all directions in ideal conditions. So battery's full, room temperature, things like that. Well, this gives you a really good general idea of how bright the light will be. Lumens are not measured with a standardized system. So this means that you can't necessarily compare lumens alone when you're comparing headlamps across brands or manufacturers. But again, the higher the lumens, the more light output you get. The lower the lumens, the less bright the light is going to be. So it's a good way to generally compare. But after you've decided how bright you probably want your lamp to be, there are several other factors to consider. The first one is going to be the beam distance. So headlamps will tell you how far the reach of the beam is, both when the light is its brightest and then when it's its lowest or its dimmest. So this gives you, again, a measurement of how far that light is going to reach. In addition to the beam distance, you'll also get beam types between different headlamps. Many will have two types of light, and that's the spotlight, like this one, and then the floodlight, which is like this. So the spotlight gives you more distance, but less peripheral light, and then the wide light, or the floodlight, is going to give you more peripheral light, but not as much distance in the light. The spotlight is going to be great for night hiking or for night climbs, where you really need to see a lot of distance, but don't necessarily see what's on the sides. Whereas the wide light is really great for cleaning up at camp or reading or anything that's sort of close to your face. So another measurement that you'll see on headlamps is the runtime. So runtime will tell you how long the light will last at its maximum brightness and at its minimum brightness. This is, again, just a general idea of how long the light will last, because you, of course, will probably be using it at a variety of different brightnesses and a variety of different modes. And this is just how long you will have light on the headlamp. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will have maximum brightness for that number of hours. And again, it just gives you a good idea of the life of the batteries in that lamp itself. Okay, so we've talked about lumens, beam distance, beam type, and the runtime of the headlamp, but there are still lots of other features to look at when you're choosing the right lamp for you. One really common and really helpful feature is a red light. So a red light like this, or a colored light, is great for using at nighttime because it'll help to preserve your night vision and also preserve your friendship with your tent mate, because this is not nearly as annoying when you need to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom as the white light might be. Another really cool feature that many headlamps will have is a tilting feature like this. I like to call this the courtesy tilt. So you can tilt your headlamp down to the ground so you can see where you're walking without pointing it at people and blinding them as you pass on trail. A few other features that headlamps may have are things like water resistancy, so how long the headlamp will survive in water without ruining the light. Many headlamps now will have what's called a regulated output on the light. So what this will do is the lamp will basically be at its brightest output for the majority of the life of the batteries, and then it will drop off drastically as the batteries begin to die. This is as opposed to having a headlamp that dies slowly over time as the batteries drain. This is really helpful because essentially when that light drastically drops off, you know it's time to change your batteries. Some headlamps also will use rechargeable batteries as opposed to just standard AA or AAA. This is great if you know that you'll always have a source for recharging the batteries, but it's still a good idea to carry extra batteries with you in case that source becomes unusable. Another one of my favorite features that you might find on a headlamp is a lockability feature. So what this will do is it will lock the light so that you can put it into your pack and not worry about it turning on and then draining all of the batteries. No matter how many times I press this button, the light's not going to turn on. I have definitely personally put full batteries into my headlamp, put it in my pack, had it turn on, and then drain completely before I even got to camp. So this is one of my favorite features, and it's super helpful. As with all of your camping and backpacking gear, you'll want to balance these features with the weight and bulk of the headlamp. So you'll have some really bulky headlamps that have big battery packs and will last a long time, and then some much lighter headlamps where the strap is just a simple string or a wire. And you'll pick a very different light depending on whether you're doing an alpine climb or if you're just trail running at night. If you have any other questions about gear, check out either of my videos here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe below. We'll see you later. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh, hold on. I'm stuck.
Hayden, you had a question.
Yeah, my audio was glitching out a little bit, and I understood most of what she said. I was just wondering how to fix it. Everything's fine now. I've gotten everything.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. All right, so let's move on to first aid. First aid is a very important one. This is another one of those ones to have on our list, not only to have, but also to know how to use it. Similar to knowing how to use a map and a compass. Scouting teaches us to be what?
Prepared.
Prepared. There we go. Thank you. When figuring out what you need in a first aid kit or additional supplies, consider visiting our summer camp trading posts at any of the camps that we have or our scout shop. Both have some great pre-assembled kits that help take the guesswork right out of the equation. The length of your adventure is going to determine the size of your kit, and the size of the group is also going to determine what's in that kit. If you're planning on a larger adventure, we'll want to probably have a group kit and each carry a smaller personal kit. This is all items that we should discuss whenever planning any type of adventure in the backcountry. Safety is our number one focus when it comes to any adventure. Fire. Now, who doesn't like fire? Heat and light from a fire can really make a difference in certain situations while in the woods. We should always carry some form of source to create fire. In an emergency, we have to be able to really rely on our ability to start a fire. There are many different types of or ways to check this off our list. Matches, waterproof matches, flint and steel, 9-volt battery, steel wool. Let's talk a little bit real quick on what are some other items that we could use to start a fire. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have an idea.
What?
Magnifying,
Fatwood.
What's that?
magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass? Yeah, that's another one. What else?
You can take a dry log and find a few twigs, but instead of stacking them on top of each other just to get a spark, you make the always needed safety pyramid for the fire first. Then you take one of the logs, you take a stick. This strategy might take some time, but it does work. I have probably seen it done. If I have, I've probably forgotten. But yeah, really, Mom? Wow. But yes, you take the twig and you can rub it like this with the bottom drilling in, and if you do it fast enough, maybe on a sunny day, specific weather conditions, it can make a spark and start fire.
Absolutely.
You're welcome, Devin.
That's called a bow. A bow. You use the bow and start the fire. What other types of things?
I would not like to burn my bow, Devin.
What other things out there we can use to start a fire?
Flint and steel.
Flint and steel.
Chris did some to it.
Battery and steel wool.
Oh yeah. Black's
That's
not
always
that.
fun.
Gasoline.
Well,
Spark starter and
you
gasoline.
can't really ignite a fire with gasoline. It can enhance a fire once you have a spark and a flame.
Mhm.
Not very good to be playing around with gas, but
Yeah, camp stove.
Where's the
all right. So those are all some good suggestions. If we have a source to ignite a fire, what are some items we could use to help get the fire started, or in a situation where everything's wet, what are other items that we want to add to our checklist?
Dry wood in your pack, if you have any room with everything else we have.
Right. So if we were car camping, you could throw a couple extra dry pieces of wood in the back of someone's truck. You know, one of the things that I always try and put in my 10 essentials is a small fat candle, because a little candle can really go a long ways with helping you start a really nice fire.
Cotton balls.
Cotton balls.
Newspaper.
Newspaper.
Normal paper.
Normal paper.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper is sometimes hard to come by. Yeah. So maybe some lint from your dryer in your house with some wax. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to the next thing. Nutrition. Who likes extra food here?
Wait, what?
Everyone. Why would we want to carry extra food?
Extra nutrition, and you could survive longer if you get lost.
Calories.
Calories. In case we ran out of food or something were to happen. Yep. What are some other types of extra food we want to carry?
Banana.
Protein bars. Trail mix.
Banana. Apple.
Tangerine.
Trail mix.
Trail mix.
Apple.
Dried tangerines. Yeah. Any dried fruit. Any dried fruit is really good. What about jerky? Should we bring some extra jerky?
Probably. If my dad's coming, definitely.
Beef jerky. Carrots.
My dad's probably like 90% jerky.
Basically, we always want to carry a little extra high calorie or nutrient dense foods. Why would we want to pack a higher amount of extra food in the winter versus the summer?
Because it's colder and you can keep your body heat warm if you keep eating.
Absolutely. You burn a lot more calories in the winter, and you tend to carry a lot more in the winter because you can
It's
take
cold.
and it's cold. Yeah, so you got to pack more. All right. So the next item is hydration. Let's watch another little short clip from Boy's Life and see what they have to say about the importance of clean water.
Thank you, Cliff.
Hey, I'm Reed. And I'm Brennan, and welcome to Boys Life Essentials. Nothing ruins a camping trip more than getting sick from contaminated water. Yuck. Yeah, I was on a train for days once, and you would not believe what... Yeah, we get the picture. On this edition of BL Essentials, we want to save you Brennan's fate and show you how to treat the water you find in the backcountry. If you've got a campfire site, you can boil your water over the stove or a campfire once it comes to a boil. Like when you see half-inch bubbles rising from the bottom of the pot, then you know the water is clean. If you don't have a campfire, you can filter your water with a handheld filter. Most require you to pump water slowly through screens and filters that remove dangerous bacteria and even treat some viruses. Filters can be expensive, but they are reliable and easy to use. Chemical treatment is probably the easiest and cheapest method. Put a tablet or two in your jug of water, and in about 20 minutes, it'll be ready to drink. The tablets might leave a bitter taste, but you can use a sports drink mix to cover it. Yeah, I mean, I like grape. Oh, wait, no. Do I like grapefruit? You like grape. Do we have grapefruit? No, we have grape. What about lemon? We're out of here. I want lemon.
What's your favorite flavor?
Grapes for days.
Pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
Grapes for days.
Grape.
Nope, not days, years. Grapes for years.
What?
Grapes for lifetimes.
Grapes for lifetime. All right. So, so bad situations can get much worse when we do not drink treated water. Like they said in the video, you can really mess up your trip. And an easy way to calculate out how much water we should drink while out on an adventure is by figuring half of your body weight in ounces per day. It's always important at every outing or adventure to bring a water bottle or some source of to carry water. I always personally err on the side of caution while backpacking and bring an extra water bottle just in case I end up losing one or dropped one of my water bottles or left it at the last campsite or gave it to a friend and they somehow lost it. So the next item is insulation. Extra clothes are always very important, but sometimes can get a little out of hand if you don't be careful. Work on understanding how your body works and what clothes system works for you. In many different climates, it's different for every person. I always take a little safety pin and clip it onto all of my clothes when I pack them into my backpack, because when I use them during the trip, I can track what items I use and what I don't easily by every time I pull that item out and it has a safety pin on it. I just pull the safety pin off, clip it on the outside of my pack, and when I get home and unpack everything from my backpack, I can tell easily what I did use during the trip versus what I fell short on or what I could have left home. Climates play the most important role when deciding on what to bring. Layering your clothes is the most important lesson to learn, especially while active in the backcountry or on any type of outing. Let's learn a little bit about layering and what to wear while camping. Take a look.
Want to stay comfortable in any kind of weather? With a versatile layered clothing approach, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. First, there's the base layer, which is closest to your skin. Second, the insulation is added over the base. And third, the shell layer is on the outside. Each layer that you put on helps to keep you warm, and they can be added or shed one at a time as you need. First, to keep you comfortable, the base layer, more than any other layer, helps regulate your body temperature by moving perspiration away from your skin. The ideal fabrics to do this are synthetics and wool. Second, the insulation layer is what traps the warmth from your body around you. Adding more insulation keeps you warm. Stacking thinner pieces is more versatile than using a single thick layer, as each one can be used alone if needed. Third, the shell layer keeps all of that warmth from being blown away by the wind. And as the outermost layer, it also protects you from wet weather. The most popular shells are made of synthetic material, and they balance water resistance with breathability. The versatility of layered clothing will keep you comfortable on your next adventure, no matter what the weather throws at you. To get set up, come into any REI and talk to an expert.
That was pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit about multi-tools and knives. It's always it's always handy to have a multi-tool. The only problem with a multi-tool is that they tend to weigh more than a single blade knife. I typically just carry a single blade knife. My buddy always carries a multi-tool. Let's take a quick little poll, and in the chat box or the chat group, type in which you prefer, multi-tool or knife. Make sure to click the response to everyone. So we've got one response so far. Jackson likes multi-tool.
I'm still typing.
Oh, okay. We've got 3 multi-tools, 2 knives, 4 multi-tools, 2 knives, 3 knives, 4 knives.
Still typing.
Okay. All right, so let's discuss a little bit of the results of the survey. So Richard, why do you prefer a knife over a multi-tool?
Still typing. How do I send?
You just hit enter.
Huh.
Multi-tool is the best for the fact that it can be used for more. That's awesome. Thanks, Hayden. So Richard, go ahead and unmute yourself and let's explain to us why you prefer a knife over a multi-tool.
You tell him. You pick the knife. Tell him. Why do you like a knife over a multi-tool?
My audio is breaking up. I can barely hear a word Richard is saying.
Me either.
Oh God, what the heck?
Yours now?
Welcome just blasted and then went mute.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
So Hayden, why did you pick a multi-tool?
I picked a multi-tool because if you need to, like, I actually have my own personal multi-tool at my other house. So, you can, if you have a knife, you can just use a blade for whittling and etc. Cutting open the wound to see how bad and deep it actually is if you're in a bad situation like a bear attack or something. But, when you have a multi-tool, mine has 3 blades of knives, different ways, one serrated, but that's not the point here. I can also use a flashlight, a magnifying glass, pliers, and scissors in one. It's just one thing. Instead of taking up so much space, getting all of that individual stuff into your bag, you can just grab your multi-tool and say, hey, this small thing uses a bunch. Just put it in your bag and you're practically done with appliances and tools. You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Hayden. Ed, why did you choose a knife?
You're welcome.
I'm a bigger fan of single-use items. They tend to be better quality. Something that will do a lot of things, even though you're carrying more items with you. They tend to be a little bit better quality to do exactly what it is you need. They stay sharper longer, I've noticed.
Excellent.
Jasper, what do you want?
So there's a lot of other things you can carry. You know, you can also carry additional repair parts or kits. Some of your stoves or your tent sometimes comes with a repair kit. Those are also other good little things to add to that little list of things to pack.
God. Jasper, what did you do to Daytona now? Be right back, guys. 1 second. My cat's just gonna do a small fight. I don't know why they do this all. Be right back.
Okay, thanks, Hayden. But those repair kits and those other tools and that kind of stuff are sometimes really good to carry, in addition to a multi-tool. The nice thing about a multi-tool is that when you're utilizing some of those repair kits, the multi-tool comes in a little bit handy because sometimes it has a screwdriver or some of the other stuff to use as well.
Back.
All right, great. You didn't really miss anything.
No, I overheard everything else.
All right, so let's talk about emergency shelter. Emergency shelters is always better to have in your pack than otherwise. When you end up in a situation where you need to use one of these, you will really be glad that you packed it. They're lightweight and compact enough to stuff somewhere in your pack, either in the hood or even in the very bottom of your pack. A large plastic bag is always sometimes a suitable resource rather than purchasing something like the Soul brand you see there in the picture. Many times, or many items like these can be found either sometimes at a local scout shop or you can find a lot of them online. They're really kind of a nice thing that doesn't really go out of date as long as you keep it in the package. If you get one of these, don't take it out of the package because you'll never be able to get it back in the way it is. So why would it be important to stay dry and warm in inclement weather?
When you're wet, you're cold.
When you get wet, you get cold. Absolutely.
When you're wet, like.
When you're wet, you're cold.
Yeah, 4 big. Yeah, it was 4 big. When you're wet, you're cold. But
so
also, like when we did that polar bear camp out, when Ken mentioned, you're welcome, Ken, I'm bringing this up again. He mentioned that when you're sweating, you always need to bring clean clothes, which heads back to the clothing. You bring clean clothes, you switch into it right before you go to bed because you think you're not sweaty, you are. Even if you do know, and you think it's not going to do much, you're going to freeze. Back, clean, everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Hayden.
Depending on how big your trip is going to be, pack a lot of everything.
Yeah.
Jasper, what do you want now?
So those were the...
Get off the table, Jasper.
Those are the 10 essentials. There's an 11th essential that I usually add on because there's always one more essential item that could be considered.
Communication, worth it.
Absolutely. This would be some form of communication device, either a cell phone or a sat phone. Most cell phones are now waterproof. They come with cases that are nearly indestructible. The other advantage is that all cell phones have cameras embedded into them. So when you go out on an adventure, you can have it to take all the pictures you want of what you're doing and the cool things or the sights you see. With a satellite phone, many groups, families, or scouting units are not able to afford the advantage of this device, but can come in very handy during situations in remote wilderness areas. When I went to Northern Tier, we brought a sat phone and actually had to put it to use because we got stuck out on this island, and the weather came up and the waves were too big to get back, and we ended up spending 2 extra days out in the wilderness, and we had to call back to Northern Tier to let them know that we weren't dead.
Absolutely lucky.
Absolutely. All right, so this is a little interactive.
I mean, you're lucky the fact that you were there. I wish I was there.
Oh, well,
yeah, while we're talking about this optional stuff that you should probably bring, but you don't have to, like your 11th essential. I know that some of my other first-rank scouts, like Henry and Jackson, for sure, are probably going to bring this up, like just randomly say Nintendo Switch or something like that. But if you're a kid my age and you're heading on something like this, like a normal trip with your family, and you're probably bored out of your mind, I suggest you bring entertainment, because if you're on a trip out in the wilderness and you're planning on hiking for 2 or 3 days straight with breaks for drink breaks, etc., you're probably not going to have much entertainment. So I suggest you bring.
So
just
Hayden,
we're talking about
if you were able to bring one form of entertainment, what would that one thing be?
That one thing would probably be a phone if I had one, but I don't, because one, if I did have a phone, which sadly I don't. My mom is insane about this stuff. Please help me. Yeah. So if I did have a phone, I would probably bring it at like a fourth of 100%, 25 battery, because I know, because either it's gonna die
and I'm not going to be able to, or you're going to have the disappointment and want to sneak back onto it if you bring it at 100% and your mom tells you, stop, you need to stop using this. So I'd probably drain it down to 25% battery or something low like that before I went out on the trip. Because entertainment is good, but when you're just using it way too much, you need to stop. It's possible that, Henry, what do you have to say about this?
All right.
I accidentally unmuted myself.
You
Hayden,
yes?
We've got to move on because otherwise we're going to run out of time. So now for a little fun time. We're going to take 10 minutes here pretty soon. And Scouts, when I say go, you'll have 10 minutes to scavenge your house for as many of these 10 essentials as you can find. Scouts, if you can ask your parents to come to the video, join us on screen. We've got a quick message for our parents while you guys are doing this short activity. Okay? So Scouts, take a second and ask your parents to come join us at the screen.
My mom's in the shower.
Dad, get over here.
I'm starting.
No, here.
Just press the microphone. Hello. Did you need me?
Yep, we'll get started here in just a second. I'm just waiting for the other parents to arrive.
Okay.
Again, my mom's in the shower. She's not going to be able to come out for this. But I understand what you mean.
That's okay, Hayden. All right, so Scouts, remember, you only have 10 minutes. I'm going to start the watch here pretty soon. So, ready?
You guys have 10 minutes.
Set. Go. You Scouts can find as many of the 10 essentials as you can. Parents,
I'm at 4.
Parents, we're going to have a little quick parent conversation.
Knife.
Oops. Type in your web.
So we want to take a quick minute and talk through
entertainment.
Hayden, turn it off.
Hold on a second.
Fine. Shocked me.
Hayden, can you mute yourself for me?
Wait, I'm on mute? I thought I'm...
Can you mute yourself for me? Okay.
There you go.
All right, so we want to take a few minutes and talk through a few items. We have a quick message about the council and their efforts for supporting us as a troop. Please take a moment, grab your phone, and either text or visit the link shown on the screen. I lost my notes. As a council, we're here to help in many ways. We help every youth who can't otherwise afford to go to camp or scouting activities. We find ways to help them get there. We provide all kinds of recruitment resources for bringing new scouts into the program, provide first-class summer camp programs, and continue to improve those operations. We provide online resources and continued support even in these times that continues to provide scouting programs with our scouts. They lastly have a professional staff to continue to motivate and engage the community, volunteers, and other organizations. With growing scouting here locally and strategically, identifying solutions to increase participation in scouting activities. We'd like to ask each family to consider pledging to our Friends of Scouting program. Help continue scouting here locally. Help 100% of these, or all of these gifts, 100% of these gifts are used here in Petoskey and around the northern region to provide resources and make scouting available to our community. It's as easy as grabbing your phone and punching in the number 91999 as a text message, and then entering in the message line, giving the dream. Or you can visit michiganscouting.org/donate-friends-of-scouting. Please take a moment and help us go online or text through your phone to make your pledge and pave the road for a stronger Scouting. When finished, let us know through the chat group that you have joined me in supporting a Scout somewhere. Ken, did you have anything that you'd like to share on this?
No, I don't think I have anything to add on the Friends of Scouting, on the fact that it is very important, and especially making sure that we can have Scouts go to camp through scholarships.
Thank you. So again, if you have any questions on how to access this, it's fairly easy. It's either you can go into your web browser and just type in that the Michigan Scouting, michiganscouting.org donate-Friends of Scouting, or pull out your phone and punch in the number like it was a phone number of 91999 and enter in the message giving the dream. All of these donations go to help us support and continue to do creative, new, interactive things like what we're doing tonight across the 30 counties of North and West Michigan. We're going to wait a couple more minutes here for the Scouts to go around and continue to find any of their 10 items. If anybody has any questions on this, feel free to utilize the chat room. I can send a little message here, and a little orange box should pop up in the toolbar. If you are willing to help support us, let us know that you're on board and a part of the team.
How much time is left on the counter?
4 minutes.
Is the scavenger hunt still on?
Scavenger hunt is still going, yes. T-minus 4 minutes.
Where would my mom hide a knife? I have no idea. Where would she put it? Oh, hi, Jackson. How's it going?
I don't know what else to get. I think I have everything.
All right.
Most of the essentials are at my other house, so this house doesn't have much. I have food, pencils, entertainment, like I was talking about.
Okay.
Soap.
I think I have more than we need.
I don't know what the heck that is.
I have more than we need.
I have way under. Most of my stuff is at the other house, so.
I have hats, gloves,
I know where to
socks,
find it all, though. I have my safety
water
kit ready and packed anyway.
Oh.
All right. Well, parents, if you could ask your scouts to come back to the conversation, and we'll move on here in just a minute. So if you want to yell at them and say, "Hey guys, come on back," that'd be helpful.
Get back.
Get over here, Mom.
Why?
All right, I'm back. What do we need? What's now?
I just noticed that first aid kit is very little.
Yeah, it is.
And I have one as big as my head.
My toothbrush won't even fit in that.
All right. Well, let's go around. We'll start.
Fit in that.
Just mute yourself. Everyone mute. We need to listen to instructions. Mute yourself.
All right. So we're gonna start with Adam. Adam Martins. And Adam, share with us how many of the 10 essentials did you find? Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yes, my mistake. So I have my sunglasses, my headlamp, my hat, and this kitchen knife, which kind of counts. So I brought 4 of the essentials.
Four of the essentials. Awesome. All right. Thank you. Let's move on to Mr. McGeehan. How many of the items did you find?
I got my knife, a compass, nice bottle of sunscreen, water bottle, this nice life straw, a hat, pair of gloves. Communication
Wow.
device. And a communication device.
Nice job, Steve.
Thank you, Adam.
I'm impressed that you found a life straw.
It's echoey. I can barely understand anything. Please help.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Hey, Richard, what did you find? Mr. Zink.
I have a hat. I got first aid kit. Another hat. Water bottle. Knife. A headlamp. And compass. And the fire and flint and steel.
All right. Good one. How about Trent? What did you find, Trent?
I got my nutrition, my headlamp, my sunglasses, my knife, my gloves, my hat, and my water bottle.
Perfect. Is it Mateo?
Yes.
What did you find?
I got a hat, got gloves, sunglasses, my knife, and my whistle/compass.
All right. Well, good. And let's move on to Hayden. What did you find?
Like I said earlier, during about the middle of the search hunt, most of my essentials are at the other house, because as you know, my parents are divorced and I swap houses each Friday. But yeah, most of my stuff's at the other house and I have a full thing. But of what I found here, I have paper right next to me. I have pencils, communication, food, soap, worth it during this coronavirus crisis or what, toothbrush, toothpastes, food, floss, hair comb. That's practically the best stuff I could find around here.
Awesome. Well, perfect. All right, let's go over to Henry Johnson. What do you got, Henry?
All right, I'm going to start putting this stuff back.
I got a raincoat, a first aid kit, my compass, a knife, food, socks, hat, and did you say flashlight?
Yeah, illumination.
Okay. And then bug repellent and sunscreen and a jar of peanuts
Perfect.
and a water bottle.
Good work. So I noticed that a lot of people didn't find a compass, and honestly, that's probably the one thing that you want to make sure you have is a compass before you
I
go
found
on.
my illumination, by the way.
Oh, good work, Caden.
It was literally on.
All right, so let's watch one last short clip on how to take these items and fit them all in your pack for when we go on our next adventure. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Reed, and welcome to BL Essentials. You know, when it comes to experiencing the outdoors, nothing beats backpacking. It's fun, it's exciting, and it can be really heavy. My name's Brennan, and carrying around all that gear on a trail isn't always easy, but you can make it easier by packing the right way. The stuff you don't need until reaching camp can go deeper in your pack. Things you might need at a moment's notice should go near the top or in a side pocket, where they're easily accessible, like rain gear, first aid kit, a sweater, dry socks, and your lunch. You're always thinking about food. Hey, backpacking takes a lot of energy. We haven't even hit the trail yet. Another thing to keep in your pack side pockets is cooking fuel, so it's isolated from the rest of your supply.
Sorry?
Why does it keep doing that?
Because I clicked on something else and now I can't get my mouse back over there to quick play.
Keep your tent where you can reach it without having to dig through everything. You might need to get a shelter up fast if the weather suddenly changes. And here are just a couple of general hiking tips. Once you've got your pack loaded, adjust the waist belt and shoulder straps so that most of the weight rides on your hips. Throughout the day, you can adjust the straps to shift the weight to ease any discomfort. Yeah, and don't try to carry the pack with your muscles. You'll get worn out. Let your bones do the work. Let the pack sit on your hips and walk upright along the trail. And don't forget to take plenty of breaks and drink lots of water. And when you get back from your trip, go over your gear list and see if there's anything you can do without next time. Oops. Really? A frozen chicken? It's not that heavy. I mean, I was going to share. We'll see you next time. I'm not helping you carry that.
All right, and now for a short little Scoutmaster Minute. So, one second. All right. So, there's only so much a person can do. I've got a real job. I teach. Each of these rocks is a different thing. So I teach. I volunteer. And I work out to stay in shape. Those pretty much kind of fill my jar, right? So I can't do anything else, even if someone asked. I expect most of you are the same way. You feel you're so busy, you can't possibly take on another thing. Your jar is full like mine, right? But maybe if it's not so big, then you can do it. Like drive if I took a little smaller task, drive for a weekend on a camp out, or help arrange a fundraiser, or help at church for a week, or plan a service project, and start filling these in here, and help organize a picnic for my neighborhood, or all kinds of other little tasks. Fill up my jar. They get in there real deep, and start making things fit, and finding other projects to do, like mow the lawn or help a neighbor build something else. And you think, oh my gosh, well, now my jar is full. There's nothing more I can fit in it, right? So, wow, I guess I could do a little more than that. But now that's it. Really, I can't possibly do any more. Just like you, I'm doing too much now. This is a lot, right? Well, maybe it's just a small thing I could do. Like, take these small things, even smaller, sand. Help shovel my neighbor's driveway. Get the snow out of there, right? I'll make a mess here. Or, there, that'll fit. Maybe I could go and I could clean the church for an hour, or help around that activity, or get that in there and make that work real good. Maybe I got some more room now. Maybe I could help my friend do some homework, and or help them make sure that they've got a good understanding of what they're trying to work on. Get that in there real good. Huh. Well, what you don't know, looks like I could do a bit more than I thought I could. I guess I just needed to make a little time. This is time. As you can see, my jar is definitely full now. See? Right up to the top. Packed to velocity. There's no space in there to do any other things. I did more than I thought I could. And I'm really able to accomplish a lot. Now, there's no way I could fit anything else in here, right? It's pretty full. But now I don't have time for just relaxing. How could I just have time for fun? There's no room left. Well, if I took the other stuff that I have, like relaxing and wanting to watch TV or play video games or go play football with my friends on a Saturday, I could possibly fit all that stuff in here too. And as I do that, my jar is now full. So what does this mean? Seems like I could do much more than I thought. And I still have a little more time to play right there in the top. Can't necessarily get the lid on, but at this point, I needed to get the big rocks, the important things I scheduled into my life first. Decide what's most important and most important to you, and make time for it. Then fill your time with other worthwhile, meaningful activities, like the little rocks. The time you have left over is for you to relax and regenerate yourself. But be careful not to fill your life with the things first, the little things first, like the water, playing the video games and all that kind of stuff that we added last. If you do those things first, there won't be enough room for the big things, like we had mentioned before. So that concludes my Scoutmaster's Minute for today. Scouts, here's a list of where some of the information we found for today's meeting was at. These resource pages are out there. There's all kinds of things you can learn and discover on your own. Please check out the Boys Life magazine on YouTube channel. If you find yourself looking for something to watch, and I know a lot of you guys, you do watch a lot of those videos on YouTube, go check out the Boys Life page. There's some really cool ones there. And thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for being a scout. Thanks for being a part of this program. This concludes Season 1, Episode 1 of our virtual troop meeting covering adventure trek preparation and cool things to learn before we plan our next adventure. Scoutmaster, anything you'd like to share before we leave?
Just would like to thank you very much, Ryan, for pulling this off and making sure that scouting is continuing to happen here. I just wanted to reiterate to the scouts to please watch your emails very, very closely. Starting next week, we will be starting the Troop 5 Merit Badge Tech online. So you'll need to watch your emails to make sure that you are logging into the proper meeting. There'll be various adult leaders that will be emailing you about logging into something very similar to this. Adult leaders, there's an email that's about to go out for that adult leader meeting. And that is actually going to be tomorrow for all of the adult leaders. At this time, I'd just like to thank Ryan and Joe, who are making sure that we have the resources that we need as Scoutmasters for the troop to make sure that we can continue on. Scouts, be safe, stay home as you are instructed to do. Make sure that you are taking all the sort of precautions that you need to, and take care of yourself and your family. With that, Scouts, and now, may the great Scoutmasters of all Scouts be with us until we meet again. Good night, Troop 5.
Jackson has a question.
What?